Hey guys, so today in this video I'm going to talk to you about the game My Last Match, which is developing on Qubic, and just the bigger implications for this game and GameFi and the bigger picture in general for Qubic, and how this is something really bullish and really positive to discuss and to think about it in the Qubic network. So let's get into it. So yeah, Qubic, they made this announcement this week just about the game My Last Match and just some things about it. So basically, they wrote this X post, and we've been getting some looks at what's going to happen with My Last Match, and it's beginning to look interesting. Of course, this is still all in theory, but I think you're going to find this video interesting anyway. So they just said, why will gaming work on Qubic better than other networks? And they said then that for microtransactions such as buying an avatar, outfit, or weapons, Qubic can offer near instantaneous transactions with no fee attached. Other blockchains that can only offer one or neither. Purchasing items will also mean these are stored on the blockchain, and with Qubic's super fast smart contract execution, these can be deployed quickly, meaning ownership conflicts can be easily overcome. I'll discuss a bit more what this means in more general English terms in a minute. Price fluctuations often come into play when many players are playing at once. To ensure that transactions do not fail as the prices change, a fast network is needed. Game drops can often be described as unfair, but with the drops happening on the blockchain, when players would be able to verify the drops, who won what loot and what the percentage of chances of winning were, this adds transparency to the game. By utilizing the blockchain, players will also be able to have peer-to-peer swaps or sales with increased confidence due to smart contract design within the game. So basically what they're saying is just Qubic, we're talking sub-millisecond, nanosecond speed when Qubic's up and running to the scale that it's apparently supposed to be able to achieve. But, time will tell on that. Then we're talking about feeless transactions and super fast smart contracts. So in a Metaverse world built out, all those transactions can happen really quick. There can be ownership on the blockchain, like non-fungible tokens or non-fungible assets on the blockchain, so you can own things in the game. And that's basically what they're getting at here. That Qubic's just built for this, and because it's so scalable and fast, that you can have nearly everyone in the world playing a game on the Qubic network and still maintain the speed required for transactions and things like that. So if I'm doing my job right, and that's if I actually put this on now, because sometimes I'm just throwing these videos together when I have a spare chance. You should be seeing a video now appearing on the screen of a game. And now this game is not My Last Match. This game is called The Wicked Days, and it's just something that I've taken from a YouTube review of the game The Wicked Days. But the team who created The Wicked Days are the team that are now creating My Last Match. And as you can see from that video, The Wicked Days looked really impressive. And I'm making some leaps and some guesses here, but My Last Match is going to be a zombie kind of survival game with guns and shooting. And I'm guessing that Sergey Ivancheglo and other people at Qubic were like, well, what game would we like our game to look like? They picked The Wicked Days and they hired that team to develop this game, then My Last Match. And they would be building My Last Match with the same engine as The Wicked Days. And as far as I know, Sergey Ivancheglo has computer game development skills as well, and is quite skilled at that. So I imagine he's quite closely involved in the development of this. But basically, I think if you're looking at The Wicked Days here, you would be expecting My Last Match to look like this, or even slightly better, because it's been 2 or 3 years since The Wicked Days came out, as far as I'm aware. But the difference is going to be The Wicked Days was, a game. I don't know too much details about it, but it wasn't built on the blockchain, obviously, and you couldn't transact. You couldn't transact in the way that you will be able to with My Last Match on the Qubic network. On the Qubic network, you're going to be able to own things like buildings, land, pieces of equipment, vehicles, armor, animals, all that sort of stuff within the game. There's going to be complete ownership, and you're going to be able to trade with people using Qubic, which is just a really, really cool idea. And, it's an idea that all GameFi is trying to achieve, but none are really achieving successfully. And the indicators for My Last Match are really positive. So, like we said, there's this really strong team working on this project. They've already created a game called The Wicked Days in the past, which is considered quite a good game. My Last Match then is going to use, I imagine, the same engine as The Wicked Days and will look very similar. And that's kind of what the My Last Match team is pushing out now for their advertising, saying that this is a former game and My Last Match is going to look quite similar. And My Last Match will then aim to become a much more immersive, because it's going to use Qubic as a currency and as a reward for playing. So you can probably earn Qubic by playing this game and entering competitions and things like that. And then, there's going to be the ability to own many things in the game, like buildings, vehicles, weapons, skins, land, all that sort of stuff. Basically, everything in the game probably can be owned. And then, based on past history, it's very likely that the team behind My Last Match would deliver a good product that is far ahead of most GameFi projects. Because most GameFi projects are really shit and don't look good, but this is most likely going to be a really good computer game, and it's going to be done correctly and not in a half-arsed manner. But what I really want to talk about is the bigger picture to all of this. So you got to look at, Sergey Ivancheglo left IOTA, was planning this whole thing for IOTA with the Internet of Things, didn't get along with the IOTA team. They didn't agree in a lot of things where the direction they want to take IOTA. Originally, he was going to build Qubic or something like it on top of IOTA, but was going to be kind of messy trying to turn IOTA into Qubic. So then he went and he created Qubic about 2 or 3 years ago. And then the first 2 projects that were launched on Qubic, so you do the DEX, which is obviously something essential to be launched on a smart contract platform. But the next 2 things that they went and launched were My Last Match and Quotary. And both those projects are really interesting when you think of the bigger picture. So both these projects are a perfect way to display the power of Qubic smart contracts, of its decentralization, of its security, its feeless transactions, its speed, scalability, and Oracle. So I really think those 2 projects were picked specifically to display how well Qubic can work, because you've got a computer game that the whole world can jump into and play and have ownership and trade with each other. And then you've got Quotary, which is a decentralized betting platform where the whole world can just create bets themselves, and then other people all over the world can go and take up those bets. And then through Oracles, the system, which is Quotary, can connect to the outside world. It can see the result of something like a presidential election or a match, and then automatically through a smart contract execute and pay out on a bet, which is a really powerful proof of concept for not just this game, but for how Qubic works. So I think they were very, very specifically picked as great ideas for initial projects. Also both of these projects tackle areas that the crypto, these are areas that the crypto space has been trying to infiltrate for so long. Because as we said, Quotary is entering that decentralized betting space, and if it delivers, as I hope it will, it's going to be a great project. It's still in very early phases. It's still really just, in some elements of it are the beta phase, and some elements of it aren't, even close to that. But I think it can be a great project. And then My Last Match, then the one that we're focused on here more, enters the GameFi space, and if it can deliver on that, it'll be the first of many GameFi projects on Qubic, and that's a big deal. If this one's really good, and if it works well, then many GameFi projects, people who genuinely want to build games out and don't want to just make some money, are going to be building games on Qubic. And then, not only that, but My Last Match will be a fantastic example of a Metaverse project, and even display how real world assets can work in Qubic. Because if you think you've got tokenization of assets on the Qubic network through, like we said, the things like buildings, vehicles, weapons, skins, land. That's just a precursor to real-world assets, or RWA, on the Qubic network. So it's definitely something that Qubic's already said that they want to focus on as well, is real-world assets. And then obviously a metaverse is what My Last Match is more or less tried to be. So there's really big implications for My Last Match and what it means for the Qubic network and for Quotary as well. And I think if those two projects, along with the DEX, can be successful, I mean, it could be huge for Qubic. Then, even look at the bigger picture. Right now, Qubic is trying to sell computing power. So they're trying to take 50% of that mining power that's coming in. They're directing 50% of it towards AGART, but they need more computational power. So what they've decided to do is take 50% to be directed towards AGART. The other 50% they're taking, and they're going to try and sell that to companies that want to run computations. So outsourcing computations. And then the goal is that they're going to use the income generated by those sales to buy more Qubic, and in a flywheel sort of effect, start pumping the price of Qubic, which is going to make mining more profitable, which is going to attract more miners, which is going to attract more computational power. And then the ultimate goal is to suck up like a black hole, as Sergei Eisenchegel says, a black hole for computational power, direct all the computational power towards AGART and develop the first AGI. I mean, I don't know if that's going to work, but it's a crazy mad scientist sort of idea. And it sounds pretty cool. And I mean, I love the thoughts of pumping the price of Qubic. But when you look at just the selling of computational power, that's DePIN, and it's a play for the DePIN sector. So if you look at projects like Render or Netmind, NMT, Dynex and DNX, they're all DePIN projects. Filecoin is a DePIN project. They're all DePIN projects. Qubic now is putting its foot into the DePIN space. Now, AGART is obviously a play for the AI sector, which we know. And then Qubic is, apparently from what they're telling us, and we'll see more evidence of this, but all the evidence is pointing to this being true, that Qubic is decentralized, it's secure, it's fast, it's feeless, and it's got offline payments with true finality. And that's an obvious play for the payments and decentralized finance sector. So what that all means is that Qubic's aiming for, taking on or being, you get projects that they're only focused on one sector of a certain space, but Qubic's aiming for all the sectors that cryptocurrencies or blockchain technology is currently aiming for. So it's aiming for and currently working on decentralized finance. I mean, that's obvious, and payments. I mean, that's obvious too. I'm not saying that it will succeed in those things or beat out projects like Casper or Bitcoin or any projects that you want to name, or XRP or any projects like that, but it's clearly aiming to at least have some sort of say in those areas. DePIN, again, selling computational power, it's actually probably already a leader in that area, but who knows how that'll play out. There's competition there, but it's clearly making a play for DePIN. Now we've got gaming or GameFi. Clearly it's aiming for that with My Last Match. Then we've got real world assets. Well, we can see completely by and real world assets and NFTs you could throw in there as well. Digital ownership, basically, is really making a play for that as well, and it's going to start displaying that through GameFi, so it's hitting that area. Metaverse, clearly through gaming as well, it's hitting on that area. And artificial intelligence through AGART, sitting on those areas. So Qubic's one of the only projects that I know of, or the only one that I actually know of, but I'm sure there's more, but that is trying to hit every area of crypto technology and blockchain technology. And it's got this crazed mad scientist at the top of it who isn't a guy who I believe, the more I learn about him, is completely motivated by money. I'm sure he wants money, but I think this guy is motivated by legacy and by changing the world and doing something that's never been done before and is truly unique. I think he's thinking far beyond Bitcoin or payments or any of those type of projects. I think he's thinking way bigger, and he wants to change the world maybe in the way the internet did. That's what I see this person aiming for. I don't know if he'll achieve that, but you can see that's his drive, and that's why he's trying to hit all these points. And it isn't just me saying this. The Qubic team has already openly said that they're aiming to infiltrate all these areas, or most of those areas. I've openly heard them talking about. And then, it's crazy when you compare Qubic to a project like Metal, which people, are very bullish on, and quite rightly. I think it's a great project. Wouldn't be surprised to see Metal someday up at $1 billion market cap. But Metal is a project that's currently only focused on one game at the moment, and that's their whole value proposition. It's just a currency in one game called Bad Mad Robots. That's at the moment. While Qubic aims to cover all the areas that we've discussed there, and to build out a whole GameFi empire, and it will just be the currency in a digital world, a metaverse world, if you want to call it, called My Last Match, on the way there. So that is a really, really big deal. And of course, the fun that we're going to get is that people will say, well, so that's just going to make Qubic a jack of all trades and a master of none, meaning Qubic are spreading themselves too thin. And what I think people are failing to realize about this is that most of these areas are being managed by different teams within Qubic. Like, as we said, My Last Match and that gaming is being developed by a team who develops the Wicked games. The DeFi part, that already all exists. And now you have Valis is the team that's working on building out things like the DEX and that, that sort of stuff. And probably other teams will come in and develop on top of that. But the fundamentals of Qubic being decentralized, secure, fast, feeless, offline with true finality is apparently still in place. We still have to see some real world application of all this, but it seems to be quite true. When we look to Deepin, we have a lawyer and a legal team that's been set up, and they're creating a legal entity that can sell this computing power to teams. But there's a team of people like Joe, Tom, Albert. They seem to be working on this. Talent Node seems to be working on this. Then you've got the real world assets. Well, now and the metaverse. I think that's going to come a little bit after the GameFi, but something that's ticked in the box. But I don't think that's really started. I think the gaming is more the corridor into that, and then the artificial intelligence, which is obviously the main focus of Sergey Ivancheglo now, seems to be all he's working on. He's developed Qubic, and now he's working on Agart, and he's letting developers just work on Qubic. And this is the thing: the underlying principles of Qubic are already in place, and the Qubic network is already built. The underlying project that is Qubic doesn't need more work; it is already built, or at least that's what we're being told. We need to hear more about that. Now that comes with the point here that the oracles are only being worked on right now, but apparently are coming quite soon. But we haven't got oracles on the Qubic network now. It's coming, but other than that, it seems like Qubic as a network is just completely built. So no more focus is on building the underlying Qubic project. All the work now is on building out the ecosystem and pushing the project in general. So the conclusion that I took from all that was, of course, all of this is just in theory right now, and nothing is guaranteed, which is always really important. But the thing to understand is this is why we're super early. We're here before a white paper. Like if you're talking about Qubic right now, it's the marketing team has only just joined it. The projects that the apps that have been releasing it, they're kind of crap right now, and that could be seen as a good or a bad thing. But Quotary, QDex aren't great yet, but the next versions of them are being released soon. Remember, 676 shareholders in each of those projects, all people who've invested money and want to see that project succeed. Those projects succeed, so there's a very high chance that they will succeed. And then My Last Match, we haven't seen anything of that yet. I don't know, that could be a year or two away. But that's why we're early. We're really, really early on this. All signs are pointing to Qubic delivering, or at least genuinely believing that they're going to deliver on all of the above. They could be delusional, but like Sergey Ivancheglo and these guys working this team, they are not scammers. And I know some people doubt that or whatever, and it's always good to not trust everything just blindly. But these guys you can see they're clearly real people working on a real project that want to make something happen. And then from my research and what I'm seeing of them, these guys clearly believe they're going to deliver all this, but they could be delusional and they could be wrong. Only time will tell. There's no other project out there that I'm aware of that has such a large vision. And Qubic, to me, is the most exciting project to launch over the last cycle. In some respects, to me, it's possibly the most exciting project ever to launch. And I mean, I don't just mean in the blockchain space. I mean, for me, watching the impact that this could have in the world and what it's aiming to do is so exciting, and I love researching it. That doesn't mean it's going to achieve any of these things. I don't know that, but I love researching it and keeping up to date with it and seeing what they're trying to create and what they seem to think is possible. None of that means this is going to be the most successful, but it's super entertaining, and I'm really, really into the project. But I always want to hit it with the point of, just because I believe that they believe that they're going to achieve these things, and I believe that this is a genuine team that thinks they can achieve their goals and are working hard at it, doesn't mean that's going to happen. It's just exciting to research, and I think it's very likely that this project is going to go up a good bit in price in the future. And if it achieves even half of what it's aiming to do, the sky's the limit in terms of price. But only time will tell. So don't go risking money that you don't have on it either. Because I've got too excited about projects in the past, and I shared them on this channel, like Space, Zeph, and things like that, and without doing crazy research into them, and I've shared them, and I don't like to think that people buy off that research. While with Qubic, I've done thousands and thousands of times more research. Probably just for a layman, I'm as researched as a person could be on this project, but that still doesn't guarantee that's going to be a success. There's so much competition, so many things can go wrong, but it does look really good for this project. That's all I've got for you today, guys. I'll see you all on the outside.